What if one of the most important stories in history didn't happen where we all thought it did? What if the whole setting, the very heart of the story, has been misunderstood for centuries? Today we're diving into a really fascinating argument that completely flips the script on the origins of Christianity.
Based on Chapter 12, called A Great Light in the North, from the book series The Wars of Light and Darkness. Everything we're about to explore presents a pretty compelling and very different version of history.
All right, so the whole thing kicks off with a really famous prophecy. It's just one prediction, but it creates this central mystery that we're going to spend the rest of our time trying to piece together.
And here it is from the prophet Isaiah. It's a promise, right? A great light is going to shine in a land of deep, deep darkness. Now, according to the Wars of Light and Darkness, this wasn't just some throwaway line. The ancient scribes themselves knew it was a huge deal, marking it as critically important.
And this brings us to the two big questions that the author wants to answer. First, where exactly is this land of the shadow of death? We're talking about a real place on a map. And second, what, or maybe who, was this great light supposed to be?
So to find the answer, the book tells us to look away from Jerusalem. Instead, we're pointed towards this forgotten corner of the ancient world, a rugged, rebellious land that, it argues, holds the real key to the whole mystery.
And that place is called Trachonitis. You got to picture a really rugged, forgotten area, a total backwater in a region they called Galilee of the Nations. The book's central argument is that this place, this is the land of darkness Isaiah was talking about. So why here of all places? Well, because this was no sleepy little region. The Wars of Light and Darkness argues that Trachonitis was actually the epicenter of a really radical spiritual and political movement. It was a safe haven for the Essenes, and it was just buzzing with this revolutionary energy against the Romans. And here's the kicker. The book says this is where both John the Baptist and Jesus actually grew up.
Now, this slide really shows you how deep the divide was. The book argues that we're not just talking about regional differences. No, we're talking about two totally separate, totally irreconcilable Judaisms. In the north, you had the Galileans. They were revolutionary, super traditional. And in the south, you had the Judeans in Jerusalem, who were seen as basically collaborators with the Romans. The split was so intense, they even used different calendars, which meant they couldn't even celebrate holidays together.
This story goes way deeper than just politics. The author argues that this entire land was just soaked in ancient mythology. People believed it was the actual physical stage for a cosmic war between good and evil. And to really get this, we have to talk about the Nephilim, or as they're sometimes called, the Fallen Watchers. Now, according to ancient texts like the Book of Enoch, these were divine beings, rebellious sons of God, who basically abandoned heaven and came down to earth, and they brought chaos with them.
And the place where they supposedly descended, Mount Hermon, this massive mountain peak that just dominates the entire region of Trachonitis. To the people there, it wasn't just a mountain. It was a cosmic mountain, a literal portal between heaven and earth. It was ground zero for this ancient angelic rebellion. So what you end up with is this land of really intense contrasts. On the one hand, it's a sanctuary, a refuge for prophets like Elijah. But on the other, it's seen as haunted land, crawling with the evil spirits of the Watcher's offspring. And this is wild. Even the geology of the land, which is split between white limestone and black volcanic basalt, was seen as a physical symbol of this war between light and darkness.
Okay, so all of this, the geography, the rebellion, the mythology, it's all building towards the book's absolute biggest claim. And it connects this strange mythical land directly to the single most defining moment of Jesus' entire mission.
Here it is. The book argues that the Transfiguration wasn't just some random miracle. It was a coronation, a divine ceremony to install a new king. And it was staged deliberately on Mount Hermon, the exact portal where the fallen Watchers first came to Earth. This was a direct counterattack in a cosmic war.
And the author points out that the whole event follows the exact playbook of an ancient coronation. First, you ascend the holy mountain. Then you meet with heavenly messengers, in this case, Moses and Elijah. Then you pass through the cloud, which acts like a veil between worlds. And finally, you get the divine proclamation that makes it official.
And this is the grand finale of that whole ritual. That voice coming out of the cloud, the ultimate symbol of God's presence on this cosmic mountain, it delivers the royal decree. The book argues this is the precise moment when the mortal Son of Man is officially crowned as the divine Son of God.
So what does all this mean? What's the lasting impact of this movement from the north, born in a land of myths and rebels, and climaxing with a cosmic coronation on a mountain? And here is where the author brings it all full circle, right back to that prophecy we started with. This was the Great Light. It wasn't some vague idea. It was a real, historical movement that caught fire right here in Galilee of the nations.
And its legacy? Well, it literally changed the world. This movement, which started in what the book calls the true cradle of Christianity in southern Syria, was destined to challenge the whole pagan world order. The message that started in this so-called land of the shadow of death eventually spread everywhere, fulfilling that prophecy to become a light for everyone.
So it leaves us with a pretty provocative question, doesn't it? Could it be that a forgotten land, full of myths and rebels, actually holds the key to one of the most powerful and influential stories in all of human history? Please like and subscribe for more videos like this. For more information or to purchase this full volume, please press on the link in the description.